Hey everybody, welcome back. I know it's been a while. I've kind of been out of the loop for a couple months, taking a couple month hiatus, and I may go into that some at the end of the video. But what we're talking about today mainly is the Argentine black and white Tegu in the state of North Carolina. So as some of you may know, as of last year, the Argentine black and white Tegus went on the restricted species list, so we could keep the ones that we already have by getting a permit for them. Now, I've had some questions, what can we do if we've had them? We neglected to get our permit. So I had a conversation with Fish and Wildlife, and I wanted to relay what they told me, kind of get everybody up to speed on kind of where we stand right now with the state and Tegu ownership and some things that we can do if we're not in an ideal situation. So you won't want to go anywhere. We'll be right back on Intrepid Exotics. Whether you're a lifelong keeper or just getting started, help us encourage responsible keeping, conservation, and public education in the interest of keeping our reptiles safe and healthy as we protect them for future generations. You're invited to spend time with us as we experience these awesome animals together on Intrepid Exotics. So essentially what happened, and without going into a whole lot of detail, I actually did another video on this at the time that everything came down last year. And I let everybody know that, as new information becomes available, I'd put it out and so forth. Just kind of keep you guys up to speed as I learn new things. So that's kind of what brings us here today. So I had a couple people inquiring here over the last couple weeks, particularly, but kind of off and on since this whole thing started. I didn't get my permit. Do I have to surrender my animal? Do I have to worry about somebody kicking in my door and taking them and so forth? What can I do? So I went ahead and called Fish and Wildlife today and spoke with a representative from out there, somebody who's involved in kind of looking over the application permits. And we're fortunate in the respect that, North Carolina Fish and Wildlife are being pretty decent about things. They've got every right, as the reg is written, to had just cut everything off dead on August of last year, and said, if you don't have any permits for your animals and your SOL, you got to surrender them. But fortunately, they haven't done that, which is a big benefit. North Carolina's got pretty decent reptile laws as it is overall. We're still looking pretty good. So what I was told is that it's kind of an unwritten grace period for the next couple months, something like that. They're giving people time. If you didn't get your restricted species permit prior to the cutoff in August, then if you can submit some kind of proof that you had your animal prior to the cutoff in August, then you can go ahead and submit your application, and they're likely to approve it. Now you can have a couple means of proving you had them. If you've got any vet bills for your animal prior to August, they'll accept that. They'll accept any kind of receipts, anything from the breeder that you may have gotten it from. And we know there's not always paperwork and so forth exchanged in dealing with reptiles, so I asked her specifically. I was like, what about photographic evidence? What if you've got a date and time stamped photograph that shows that animal in your residence, in your possession, and they're really up in the air on that. She's not really wanting to use those just because it's pretty easy for most people to doctor just about anything now. There's no way of really verifying for them, is this your house, is this your animal, whatever the case may be. But they are being kind of flexible on it. So I think if you've got something where you can put those photos in there, show that they were actually taken before the cutoff date in August, this is the animal in my home, kind of plead your case to them. It sounds like they're going to be kind of flexible. Now, she did say that come August of this year, there's going to be no more stragglers allowed. They're pretty much going to cut it off at August of 2023. So if you do have your Argentine black and white Tegu out here in North Carolina, and you failed to get it to get your restricted species permit for the cutoff, they will work with you. One person that I was talking with was able to contact the breeder that they got their animal from, and the breeder just wrote them up the receipt for the date that they purchased the animal. So there's some avenues there. Definitely something I would look at. One thing like I said, Fish and Wildlife out here in North Carolina is being really cool with us about it. We're all going to have our opinions about reptile laws, and there's a lot of them we see coming down that aren't very justified, that aren't really fair, and those are all things that we really need to fight. But we also, in order to have the best results, we've always got to do our best to work with Fish and Wildlife, comply with what the rules are at the moment, stay in the good graces with them, and then negotiate to get bad rules changed, and have them respect our input a little bit more as new stuff comes down the pike. They're going to be a lot more willing to listen to folks that they know are rational and will negotiate, will talk with them and so forth. And instead of people that just get irate and say, this is a shitty law and you guys suck, and you know what I mean. It's always better to build that good relationship. So you've got that avenue available to you. And we know that we certainly don't want to be getting rid of our animals if we don't have to. Now, there was another question that we had about, can you transfer your animal if you've got to surrender your animal? Instead of surrendering it to be euthanized or something, can you surrender it to somebody else that's somebody else that has a permit? And they're talking about that right now. The whole gist of everything, the wording that they're going to use if they write it in and so forth, is still kind of up in the air. But on a positive note, she did mention to me that there is one person that she's been talking to that's got a Tegu that is trying to rehome them. The person's got a permit. I've got a permit. She says, this person's looking for somebody else to rehome it, and we're going to allow her to rehome it to another permit holder. So that's an option as well. The person that I talked to, she gave every indication that she is not looking forward to trying to confiscate and euthanize animals or anything like that. So if there's an opportunity to rehome an animal to a good family, then they're gonna encourage us to do that, which is another really good thing. So as far as where I've been the last couple months, kind of the hiatus that I've been on, I know the folks that follow Intrepid Exotics knows that I haven't been putting anything out here for the last couple months. And I'm just really not wanting to force anything. As some of you may know, I'm not a breeder. I'm just a keeper. And every community has its own niches and so forth. And one thing that you'll find, most people that are active on YouTube, in the reptile community as a whole, the people that are really active, where the bulk of the conversations happen, is around breeding. Probably 90% of the time you turn on anything reptile related, and it's a bunch of folks talking about the genetics of the 15, 20, 50 clutches that they've got. And I've tried over the years to force myself to have an interest in genetics and to be able to just rattle off morphs and everything like that. I cannot find the desire to do it. Really not terribly interested in a lot of the genetics that's involved with these animals. For me, it's all about the interaction. It's about the animals themselves. If I've got a reticulated python in front of me, I don't care whether it's white, black, green, purple. It's the interaction with the animal that I'm really fascinated with. What color they are, it's neither here nor there to me. And I know a lot of the reptile communities, man, it's what they really focus on. I've had more ball python morph names just sail right over my head than I can shake a stick at. So yeah, that part of it, just not thrilling for me at all. So it does take it kind of even shrinks the niche that I'm in. Just being a keeper, just talking about handling, just talking about basic common events and things like that. So the thing with me is I don't want to force content. I don't want to come down and just make videos because I absolutely have to have something out this week, and everything just turn really disingenuous and feel forced, because I think that just doesn't do anything except deteriorate my entire experience with the animals, and I think it does for you guys too, because people can always tell when you're faking it, and that's just not something I've ever been really good at. So There's some jokes in there that I will just leave alone for right now. But but as some of you may know, last year we did an event with the Science Center and the Parks Department out here. This was with the Carolina Herpetological Society. Now, you know, a lot of those folks have all got their schedules. They're really busy. I've touched base with them. Haven't gotten anybody express a real interest in it. So I may still get contacted by some people that say, yeah, you know, I really want to do something. We'll just see if we can work out the dates. Or I may not. But either way, out here in Guilford County, this general area, here pretty soon I'm going to start reaching out to folks, the Science Center, the Parks Department again, see who else we can touch base with to get some free public education events going when it warms up, so that we can, you know, get a couple people out and get our animals outside, get some more public exposure. Because again, like I said, North Carolina is in a really good position right now. We don't have a whole lot of bad reptile laws. And one of the ways that we're going to prevent that from happening is really expanding our public exposure and, you know, public education events and things like that, and try to get ourselves in a friendly light with Fish and Wildlife, with animal control, with the local governments, with the local people, so that they can come out and see that, you know, these animals, that they only see videos of them, you know, chasing men up stairwells and eating them whole, and things like that. So we can kind of blow some of those myths and some of those stereotypes out of the water. That's going to go a long ways towards helping to ensure that, you know, we're less likely to have bad laws coming down. And if they do, we're going to have a little bit more to stand on. Our arguments are going to have a little bit more teeth because, you know, the general public's going to be a little bit more behind us. So that's something that I really want to do. And I've also, I've also started working on the first episode for the Nile Monitor series. And I'm really looking forward to getting that out. Like I said, I'm not forcing it right now. I want to get back on my schedule of posting something every week, you know, get these series going again. But I want it to be natural. I want everything to feel good. I want it to feel right. So it's coming along, you know, and especially as the weather starts to warm up too. We got the animals outside more and more interaction. That'll all come around too. So if you guys got any questions about the Tegu thing, feel free to touch base with me. If I don't know the answers, I will definitely find them for you. You know, just like this, getting in touch with Fish and Wildlife. Got a pretty good contact out there now. And feel free to hit me up. And yeah, it's good to see you guys again. And I definitely look forward to seeing you guys again. Next one is probably going to be the first episode in the Nile Monitor series. So you guys have an outstanding day, and we will see you soon on Intrepid Exotics.